everyone, and welcome to Song for All's second gin cocktail happy hour. On this 12th day of June, June being my 30-day salute to gin during the month of June, I'm making 4 gin cocktails based on the 2 gin products that I tasted earlier this week. The Spanish Valencia Orange Botica gin and France's Sorguin gin. Now, if you missed either one of my virtual tastings on either of these products earlier this week, or if you've missed anything from my first week of June, don't despair. All of those are posted on my Song for All Facebook page, as well as on my Song for All YouTube channel. Okay, so today's event is indeed live. You guys are all here to attest to that, and I'm very thrilled to have you all join me for this gin happy hour. Or let's call it more like a gin happy 17, 18 minutes, but you get the drift. So just before we dive in, a little bit of housekeeping. I'd like to remind everybody watching that the very nature of June and this cocktail happy hour involves alcoholic products. So as a message of social responsibility, I need to ask everybody that if you're not of the age of majority where you live, to then say goodbye right now. And what does that really mean? Well, age of majority, if you're where you live, if you're not able to buy and consume alcohol products legally, such as in Ontario where I am, you need to be 19 years of age or older. If you're not of that 19-year age here in Ontario or age of majority where you live, then sadly we do need to say goodbye. For the younger folks that were interested, I do appreciate the interest. It's only goodbye until you're legal, so ciao. Okay, everybody else, cocktail time for all you adults out there. Now, I'd also like to mention, mosquito in the house. I'd also like to mention that in the spirit of being live, I'm making these cocktails for the first time. I've seen them, I liked what I found, but I haven't tasted them. So, when you're going to see my reactions, this is 100% authentic Song for All. Alright, so first up, very simple cocktail recipe from craftginclub.co.uk, and I'm improvising a little bit, and I'm using the Spanish Botica gin. This is their Valencia Orange gin. It's my take on their Orange Blossom. So we're going to start. We're going to take a glass, regular old glass. I think they call it kind of a rocks glass. We're going to take that. We're going to add some ice cubes. I like to go with about 7 or 8 cubes. Next, we're going to add 2 ounces of sweet vermouth. Pre-poured and done. We're going to take our Spanish orange infused gin. This is a 2-ounce shot glass, so I'm going to add 2 ounces right to that. And, you know, if you're measuring or free pouring, I always like to say a little more is better than a little less when it comes to gin. Add back on. Next is going to be 2 ounces of orange juice. So we're going to start marrying light flavors with light flavors here. That's what drew me to this recipe. And for that, then we're going to take a stir stick and then gently stir that all together. And we're going to add a little fancy orange rind twist, just for some garnish. Throw that in, and we're going to take a little drink. I like that. I like that a lot. Vermouth has that sweetness factor in there, but it's downplayed by the acidity of the orange juice, and the orange and orange flavors work very well together. So, yeah, that's a nice summer patio drink. Perfect. Okay, 1 for 1. Next on deck. This is a gin cocktail courtesy of foodnetwork.com. And again, I'm using the Spanish Botica. And this is called the Burnt Orange Negroni. So ahead of time, you grab an orange, peel it, and then you want to grill it. Hence the burnt orange component. So I don't know how well that's going to come through, but I just cut the orange wedges and I gave it a grill. You want some nice char marks on, and you can do that in advance, so there's no problem there. So we're going to take some ice. We're going to take a glass, okay, rock style glass, or any kind of short glass you have. We're not all that fancy here at Song for All. We're going to take one of our nice burnt orange pieces and add that in. Next, we're going to add, again, 2 ounces of our Spanish Botica gin. And there we go. 2 ounces on the nose. And then we're going to take about a ½ ounce of simple. There we go. That's how you know it's live, folks. We're going to take simple syrup, which is equal parts sugar and water. You can make this in advance. You can buy this. I'm going to take about a ½ ounce. So I've got that here in my little jigger. ½ ounce. Boom. Need that later, so we'll put that over there. Then I'm going to add my lime juice. And I'm also going to add an ounce of sweet vermouth. Again, sweet vermouth, lime juice, and then give that a stir. And then we're going to add just about a dash or two of bitters. Whether it's Angostura or whatever your favorite is. This is Dillon's, a local product here in Ontario, so I'm not going to need that later. Put that over there. Again, give this a nice little gentle stir. Marry up all those flavors. Mixy mix, nicey nice, like my Italian friends used to say. And we're going to go in for a sip. Very nice nose. Okay, a little more savory with the bitters that come through. So there's a bit of a savory note. That would be probably a lovely digestif. But I like it. 2 for 2. Yay for me. Okay, so now we move on to the French gin. And for those of you that watched my video yesterday on the Sorguin French gin, you know that this is a gin with a twist. If you did miss that video, I encourage you to go back and watch it. But in the spirit of today and why I'm talking about it being a twist, the quick recap is that this is a gin that, in my opinion, my estimation, was made as an homage to the way Ginevra, which was the precursor to gin, was made. Why do I say that? Well, unlike most of the mainstream gins that we see out there today that use a grain as a neutral base spirit, these folks are using Sauvignon Blanc. So again, that's how the monks, or it's believed that the monks first started doing that and distilling that back in the 1400s and led to juniper being in there and Ginevra, and watch my videos to see all the history. Okay, so now the French like to do their own thing with gin, so this really shouldn't be that much of a surprise. They like to take their own path. They like to be different. But don't take that to mean that French gin's not good. Actually, most of the French gin that's produced domestically wins awards. So again, here we go. Flavors and aromas are a little bit different. Again, that's not saying it's bad, it's just saying it's different. Alright, so given that it's from France, for our third cocktail, I'm putting my own twist on a classic gin cocktail. It's called the French 75, or you may know it as the 75. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using an Ontario sparkling wine in place of champagne. Now I know. The sommelier in me knows. And all of my friends, mes amis en France, I know that's sacrilege and sacre bleu, and what am I doing? I know. But bear with me a moment. The sparkling that I'm using here is from 13th Street Winery. It's made in the traditional method. So the same way that you would make sparkling wine in champagne. Of course, not being in champagne, you can't call it that, but same technique. And the kicker, the winemaker at 13th Street is a wonderful winemaker, very knowledgeable gentleman, and very proud Français. It's Monsieur J.P. Collat. So, in my estimation, a French winemaker making wine using the same type of grapes grown in Champagne, that qualifies, that counts, and I'm going with it. Okay, so, again, very easy cocktail. I'm going to take 2 ounces of my Sorguin gin. Alright, I'm going to grab my cocktail shaker. So 2 ounces of Sorguin gin. And put that in there. I'm going to take a ½ ounce of lemon juice. Put that in there. Put that over there. Going back to my simple syrup, this time it's only a ¼ ounce, so just a little touch. That's about 7 milliliters if you've got a measuring spoon. Alright, so no ice, just straight up, just like this. I'm going to put everything on. And you want to get that going. You don't want it to spray too much, but you want to get it going. It's kind of leaking a bit, but oh. Okay. So, now that I've made a mess, take that off into a chilled champagne flute or any type of glass you've got. We add that in. Try not to leak all over the counter like what's happening, but again, folks, this is live. And then we're going to top that off with our sparkling, and we should end up with about 5 ounces of drink. So, santé mes amis, let's go in. I say it works. I like that. You know, the simple syrup, so you may think that may be a little bit sweet, but you know, adding champagne, of course, if it was actual champagne, has high acidity, very crisp notes. That's the beauty of this from 13th Street. Very, very similar flavor profile, similar mouthfeel, and great acidity. So that works. That cuts very, very nicely. I will indeed finish that a little bit more. It's very nice. All right, so we've made a mess, but that's how you know we're having fun. Okay, let's get 13th Street some love. All right, so as I said before, Sorgen gin, or Sorgen gin, if you're very Canadian, is very different. So in the spirit of that, I've gone a bit rogue, and I'm going way out on a limb. And I said earlier that I thought, I couldn't confirm this, but I thought that they used wine as a base, as an inspiration and homage to the way it used to be done. So I went looking for a Geneva type of cocktail, and I found something for our fourth drink. I think it's going to be a ton of fun, or I hope, fingers crossed. This is called a Barbadian Gin Punch. It's courtesy of imbibemagazine.com. Another easy one to prepare, 5 ingredients. So we're going to take a tall glass, any tall glass will do. We're going to add some crushed ice. And, you know, I think you kind of want to fill that around 3/4. Always the most captivating part of videos when we're putting ice in the glass. All right, we'll do that, we'll do that. So, nice. Okay, next, we're going to take our Sorgen. We're going to add 2 ounces. And again, a little more is always better than a little less. Make sure we get that all in there. Good stuff. All right, so now 2 ounces of coconut water. Who would have thunk it? So 2 ounces of coconut water. Any coconut water will do, whatever your favorite brand is. I'm going to pop that in there. I'll put that over here so I don't make any more mess. Next, we're going to take a 1/2 ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice. Put that in. And we're going to take a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. So you've seen a running theme here today. All right. 2 dashes of bitters again, whatever your favorite bitters are. 1, 2. And we stir. This one both excites me, and I'll be honest, folks, I'm a little afraid. All right, here's nothing. That's a lot better than I thought it would be, I'll be very honest. That Sorgen gin really has that grapey, kind of grape musky kind of flavor profile, so that's what I was a little bit concerned about. And then, of course, you get that Sauvignon Blanc note of gooseberry and a little herbaceousness, so I wasn't sure how that would play. But I'm going to tell you, the coconut water goes very well with that. It tempers down that grapey, musky kind of, a big musky note. And then the Angostura bitters, in this case Dillon's bitters, that savory note plays really well with those Sauvignon Blanc notes. So, yeah, I'm going to put this on the rotation. Like that. Okay, so there you have it. 4 easy gin cocktails based on Spain's Bottega 01 Valencia Orange Gin and France's Sorgen Gin, or Gin Sorgen de France. Tomorrow, very exciting, is World Gin Day. So, I'm going to ask everyone watching, let me know which gin that you're going to choose to celebrate with. Send me a note, any of the platforms. And if you send me some of the pictures of the cocktails you're making, whether it's something inspired from this week, something that was inspired from my video last week, or just one of your favorites, send me those pictures tomorrow on Saturday. And what I'm going to do is I'll repost those and share those on all of my social media platforms. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, if you like to tweet. There you go. So now, just before we go, it's question time. I've been asking you all for the last 2 weeks to send me in your questions. A lot of them were kind of the same, so I've got 5 here. I'm not naming names, don't worry. I'm not calling anybody out. But 5 pretty good questions. I'm going to go through them relatively quickly. In no particular order, question number 1. When making a gin cocktail, does it really matter what style or make of gin I use? The short answer is no. You mean, use what you have. However, the thing to keep in mind is, as you've hopefully learned for these first 12 days of Gi-Une, and we'll continue to see, different gins have different flavor profiles. So, as an example, I don't know that I would make a Tom Collins using sorghum gin. It may be lovely, you may love it, but because it's got such a different flavor profile, it may not be as neutral as some of the other brands that most people would know and have in their house. So again, don't go and spend 60 bucks or 50 bucks on a bottle to make one drink if you have gin in there, but just be a little conscientious as to what type of drink you're making and watch those flavor characteristics. Okay, number 2. Why, when I see the words London Dry on bottles of gin, some of them are not made in England? It's a good question. I believe I touched on that in my welcome video and maybe even my Beefeater video. London Dry means a style of gin. So it used to be made in London going back hundreds of years ago, but that's no longer the case. It's a style, and essentially the 2 key characteristics of London Dry mean that the botanicals that are used in the production of the gin have to be infused. So that means you can't add some extract at the end and kind of mix it in. It has to be part of the distillation process. And the second key characteristic of a London Dry gin is that there's no sweetness in it. There's no sense of sweetness. So there is some sense of sweetness from the orange in here. The Malfi that I showcased last week has natural sweetness from the citrus that was used. London Dry gins, they'll use peels and they'll use those type of things, but they're going to be bone dry in the palate. So London Dry, it's a dry gin. On the palate, dry in our world, our big sound world, geekery means, and same goes for wine. When you see dry, it means little to no sugar. Number 3, tough question, but a good one. I get this a lot on wine as well. Same with whiskey. How much should I spend on gin for a good bottle? You like what you like at the end of the day. You can spend, I think this is 46 bucks, I'm picking on it because it's in front of me. $46 for this versus maybe $29 for some of the more mainstream brands. And just because you spend 17 bucks more on this doesn't mean you're going to like it. So flavor profiles can be different. At the end of the day, if you like it, that's all that matters. The only thing I'll add to that is the gins that cost more money typically are either smaller batch or have more natural type of ingredients in there. So take from that what you will. Okay, number 4, can I pair gin with food? Absolutely. Saturdays through the month of June, that's what I'm doing. I'm giving food suggestions. So last week I was talking about that Malfi gin from Italy that had those bright citrus notes, and on the following Saturday I was talking about seafood, some grilled shrimp. So gin is very food friendly. I'm going to have some more tips on food tomorrow, as well as the remaining Saturdays in June. But absolutely, you just got to watch flavor profile with flavor profile, like you would do with wine or anything else. All right, last question. This was the most popular question asked. What's my favorite gin? So what's Som for All's favorite gin? All of them. It really depends on what I'm looking to do with it and what mood I'm in. For example, last year, when I first started Gi-Une, I was really enthralled with an Irish gin called Galway Gin, from Galway Gin Company. Very briny, because of where it is on the coast. I found it had a lot of sea influence in it. So when we're making gin Caesars, I don't like pickled beans or pickled anything really, pickled. But I do like using that gin because it gives me that sense of natural brininess. So for that, I like that. I really, really like that Malfi gin for citrus-inspired cocktails. So it really depends what mood I'm in. I like them all. I haven't really come across one that I didn't like some more than others, but that's it. Okay, so for next week, send me your questions. No silly questions. I'll do my best to answer them all. Little footnote, because I'm doing this and I'm about 6 feet away from my camera, if there is anybody commenting right now, I'm sorry that I'm not able to see it and respond right away. But what I will do is, at the end of the broadcast, I'll go through and I will do my very best to answer any questions that you may have or any comments. Okay, that's it. I do hope you've all enjoyed our time together today. I sincerely thank you all very much for taking the time out of your Friday to tune in and for your continued interest throughout the month of June. Don't forget, next Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be back right here, live, maybe a little neater, but live on Facebook, preparing cocktails from the 2 gin products that I taste this upcoming week. And I got some special things coming this week. I'm going to a country that's near and dear to me, so you're not going to want to miss the videos from this upcoming week at all. I'll be answering more of your gin questions. As I said, send those through to me. I want to wish you all a very wonderful